This week's theme on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast is home updates that actually add value. Now, yesterday I talked about two of the biggest home updates, major renovations that you can do that have the worst return on investment, and that is major kitchen and major bathroom remodels. Now, you may still decide to do that, and that's perfectly okay. But as I said yesterday, you just want to know what you're getting into here. Don't think that you're going to recoup the cost of that major remodel project because it ain't happening. And so at least you want to live there for a while, be smart about how you finance it, and actually enjoy those updates that you make. Don't do it right before you're planning to sell your house because you'll never get that value back. Okay, so today I'm talking about, other than kitchen and bathrooms, what are some other things that you really want to avoid if at all possible? The first one, this is really important, and I think people make a lot of mistakes here, is you want to avoid anything that is too high end for your neighborhood. One of the mistakes I made when we remodeled our home 3 years ago was the carpet. We redid the flooring in our entire house, and we actually removed a lot of carpet, replaced it with hardwoods in several locations in the house. But we basically have carpet in our family room downstairs and in the bedrooms upstairs, and that's it. And so, but one of the mistakes that I made was I picked a very light off-white. It's kind of like a white, grayish color. I went for this very plush and cozy thick pad because, again, these are going to be in bedrooms, and I wanted that nice, luxurious, comfortable, cozy feeling in a bedroom. And then I also, because we have a dog, very elderly dog, she pees and poops in the house all the time. It's the worst. But the new carpets now, a lot of them have this layer beneath the carpet, between the carpet and the pad. It's like a waterproof barrier. It's almost like saran wrap, like a thick saran wrap that will prevent any stains or any spills or pee from your dog or your kids or whoever from leaking all the way through to the pad. And then, of course, once it gets to the pad, you can never get that out. That was a huge problem with our old carpet. And so not only is carpet not even really that desirable to put in homes anymore, a lot of buyers don't want carpet. They rip carpet out. The carpet itself was maybe not the best decisions, but it was a personal preference. I like carpet, at least in bedrooms. But the combination of all these things that I picked, like the thick pad, the pet protection, it was as expensive per square foot as the hardwood floors that we put in. Yes, the carpet is really the only thing I went top tier on as far as cost. I paid more than basically double the typical price per square foot with all the bells and whistles I had, and also the kind of carpet as well. It's like a higher end carpet to begin with, just based on like the pattern and the loop that it has in it. Everything else, I was mid-range as far as cost. I thought pretty appropriate for our neighborhood and the value of our home. And as tempting as it can be with counters and backsplash and flooring and fixtures, because I went shopping for all these things, I was like, ooh, shiny new thing over here. And it's really fun to design these things and pick things out. And you might go into a plumbing store or see all these fixtures or see all these different hardwood floor options. And this one thing just really grabs you and you're like, I have to have that. But at the end of the day, if it is not in line with what would be an appropriate thing to put in your home and not have it be, you don't want anything top tier, even in a really nice house, you don't want anything like tippy top. You want to put in something that is mid-range, not too cheap either, because you don't want like $1 million house to have vinyl flooring or something like that. Okay, so you want to pay very close attention. Have everything that you do that is in line with your neighborhood and what the value of your house is, given other houses in the area as well. Okay, so the rule of thumb that I talked about yesterday was that anything big ticket and major is unlikely to ever recoup the cost. If you remember that principle, it will save you a lot of money in the long run. You're only going to focus on things, and I would only consider updates to your home. If you're going to go the route of doing major stuff, do it with the idea that you want to enjoy it for a really long time. You're not going to move for a while, but if you're going to move anytime in the next few years, especially in the next less than 5 years perhaps, I wouldn't even bother doing anything other than just minor cosmetic things. Okay, so other examples of major renovations other than kitchens and bathrooms where the ROI is really low, like you may not even get more than 50-60% back from what you spend, would be additions. So knocking down walls, exterior, interior walls, like changing the layout, adding bedrooms, removing bedrooms. These are really, really expensive. And it's usually not worth it. Well, it's never worth it, honestly. If your house doesn't fit and you're needing to add on, maybe just look for a new house because it's going to be way too expensive. Okay, I mentioned this, but it's sort of related, reconstructing rooms and knocking down walls. So if you're trying to add an additional bedroom or adding a closet to an office so it can become a bedroom, some of those things might actually give you a decent ROI because houses are priced a lot of times based on, well, square footage, but also the number of bedrooms. I came across this house the other day and it was huge. It was like, I don't know, maybe 5,000 square feet, but it had 3 bedrooms. And I was like, what? Why does this house have 3 bedrooms? Like it must have a giant family room, kitchen. I don't know. It was weird. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend a 3-bedroom, 5,000 square foot house because nobody's going to want that, at least if you have kids, more than one kid. Okay, so adding a bathroom though, or increasing the size of a bedroom or bathroom usually won't even come close to paying off. So you really want to be careful about any additions or moving around rooms or knocking down walls or anything like that. Another one that is maybe a little controversial, especially since COVID, is a pool. And in that same grouping, I would say any other major outdoor upgrades. I was talking to a real estate agent friend of mine the other day, and he told me that before the pandemic, he would cringe a little when a house he was going to list had a pool because he'd be like, yeah, we're going to have to knock off $30,000 from the list price because of the pool. Like nobody wanted a pool, especially in Oregon where I live. You can only use it like 2.5 months out of the year, and it's a lot of cost, maintenance, etc. But that's pre-2020, pre-COVID. Well, now we're past COVID and more buyers want a pool because it was sort of like a home gym before. That probably will go back to normal. And I would be willing to bet that if you fast forward 5 more years, a pool is not going to be a desirable feature to have unless you live in a really hot climate. But anyways, he was telling me since COVID, there's this long backlog where in Oregon, there's people waiting like 2+ years to have a pool installed because there's not that many pool installers, manufacturers, etc. And there's all this demand now for a pool. But pools are still very expensive. They're very polarizing. Some people love them. Some people hate them. Some people, like myself, I'm a little bit on the fence about it. I'm kind of like Switzerland because I do like the idea of having a pool. I would never put one in my backyard. I would never pay the money to add a pool. But if we moved to a new home and it had a pool, I think it would be pretty fun to have with all my kids. But at the same time, it's also a safety concern with kids. So I don't know. I guess I could take it or leave it. In addition to a pool, any high-end landscaping updates, a new patio, a gazebo, a fancy outdoor kitchen, a water feature, fountains, putting greens, these should all be on the no list when it comes to return on investment. And most of the time I see these, they're out of line with the neighborhood anyways, so you don't want to be the only house in the neighborhood with a cascading waterfall or some replica putting green of Pebble Beach number 7 in your backyard. So whether it's a pool or an addition or some other major costly project, be sure it's something that is worthwhile for you. Make sure that if you're going to do it anyway, you don't live in denial about the fact that you're probably never going to recoup the cost. And that's okay. We do things all the time where it's not a great investment, and that's because that's not the only consideration. You know, the livability, the enjoyment of your house. This is somewhere where you spend a lot of time. It's not a bad thing to spend money knowing that you'll never recoup the cost, but I'm just trying to give you the information here so that you're not living in denial about every single time. It is a terrible investment and you're never going to recoup the cost. So if you're fine with that, go ahead anyways, but just don't do it at all if you're considering moving in the next few years or you're doing it to add value to your house as a way to justify the cost, because it does not add and it will not add value. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Mitchikay, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.